On paper, the entire legislature is very well written for the advanced economic territories, for the port. But the first question that arises is about the employees, because no matter how well of a legislature you write, it matters if it, is followed or not. And the judges in Khabarovsk, and why in Khabarovsk? Because there is the third level of is there. So if we talk about the creation of the new directions of how to administrate this, then we need to talk about the system, the judiciary system in Russian Federation. Maybe we need to think about the creation of a special court to resolve the arguments of these special economic zones, of the advanced economic territories, free economic territories. So I suspect that many will say that I'm insane, and you cannot influence this. We have to find a constitutional law. But I think it's very important if we want to break the culture that we're trying to get rid of. I think it's very important that in this court there'll be lawyers working in there that have experience in business, and I'm convinced that the only change that's needed is to create the regime of the fully legislative state. And whether we can create it within the free economic zone, it's a question. We can, create special institutions, but I gotta say that we need to have the system in place. But if we talk about the economical aspect, even though I'm a lawyer, I can say that there's a very weak infrastructure in the Far East, because the railroad, there's just one branch and it's overloaded. The ports are working at full capacity. Massive investments are needed in infrastructure, because in various countries, the massive infrastructures like this can only be provided by the state, and our state currently is in a difficult situation financially. I can't give you an answer how to solve this, but I think before we give this infrastructure, the private investors, I don't think they're going to be able to come, because they're not going to be able to transport out of here whatever they're going to mine. Plus, there is a law in Russian Federation about foreign investment in strategic enterprises. It was written back in the day when there was mainly Western people as investors, but today Russia is turning eastward and attracts investment from BRICS companies, and there's plenty of companies there with state participation, but the current law currently limits the right of the foreign companies to invest in the strategic enterprises. And I know today there's a few deals that are just stalling right now, where cities, Far Eastern cities, are awaiting an investor, because there is the employment to be made, and it can't happen because Chinese companies cannot do this investment. And the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is our natural resources and enormous opportunities in terms of energy sector. To the south, that's China, that does not have the natural resources in this volume. They call it burns coal and pollutes the environment worldwide, to the degree that there's ices in Antarctica melting. So I think it's important to talk about how Russia can be a producer of energy to the east. Take Japan. Their nuclear energy, you see what disasters it brought to. So you need to diversify the sources of energy for Japan. And Russian Far East could have been one of the suppliers of stable energy for Japan.